opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a beautiful Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. And Wednesdays, we go a lot of miles because we have a full house on Wednesdays. Scotty Mincher to my right in the top there. He's joined us from the athletic studio, and then back on Running Point for after a couple of weeks, out with meetings and stuff. There are more things a little bit more important than joining me and Scotty and BS and Brian Tolnar, a very busy man, but he's able to pop in this week. Brian, thanks for coming on.
You got it. Appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind the last couple of weeks. We've got some construction projects finishing up here at the Metro Parks, one with our indoor player development center. Hopefully by the end of this week, we'll be ready to start moving in. And then probably around Black Friday, just after Thanksgiving, we'll get the ball rolling with 12 months of golf at Mill Creek, which we're excited with. And then last week I was at the PGA Hope Cup, which is a program that we started here, I want to say about 5 years ago. And basically there's 15 in Northern Ohio now. So what they did was they invited one pro and 4 of their veterans to go play a tournament at Portage Country Club in Akron from all over the state. Thankful to say we come in second. Our team played well, and I thought we were going to win it there for a while. The last group come in and just chipped us out by about 2 shots. So had a great run. It's been an action-packed last couple of weeks, without a doubt.
Brian, it's been an action-packed couple of weeks on the high school golf scene as well. Last time you were on, we were shoring up some conference championships. Obviously, we talked about Canfield boys and girls winning the AAC. We talked about Columbiana winning the EOAC again. Big teams winning conference championships. But now we're in the money time, right? We're in where you make your due, and it's teams punching their ticket to state. Some teams still in districts. Brian, you have the full information and the full recap. Why don't you get everyone up to date on who's where and who has advanced to what?
Absolutely. We'll start off with who we alluded to early with the AAC championship, Campfield boys and girls. Both of their teams kind of ran away with that conference title, and they're basically following suit from a sectional standpoint. They both made it out of sectionals, the boys team and the girls team. So we're happy to have 2 teams that play out of Mill Creek make it as a team. They'll play their districts next week. From Boardman, another team that plays here, Zach Ganser, made it out of districts. He's qualified for state, shot 76, and ended up getting his spot in I want to say a 3 or 4 person playoff. It was a large playoff for one of those final spots to make it out. Obviously, Maddie Zines at United, we know what she's done over the course of the last couple years. She was medalist at Pine Lakes and goes out as an individual for United. Poland had a state qualifier, Angelo Rinaldi, although their team just missed out by a couple shots. Angelo, who plays and practices here quite a bit, played very well, shot 75 to get out and punch his ticket to the state tournament. Ursuline boys punched their ticket as a team to go to state as well. And JFK made it out of sectionals. They've got a district to play, which I believe is today. And then Cardinal Moody won their sectional, and they're playing in their district championship today, I believe, as well. So a lot of great golf being played across the spectrum here. and a lot of the teams that call Mill Creek home are playing extremely well, as are the Youngstown State ladies golf team. They've won their third team title this year and third in a row. After picking up their second win here at the Roseanne Schwartz Invitational, they also picked up Niagara University, the Purple Eagle Classic up in Niagara Falls, New York, over the past week. So a lot of great golf being played here in the Mahoning Valley on both sides, both boys and girls, and the men and ladies team at Youngstown State continue to play well as well.
We have some teams, like we said, within the district round. Some teams have already gotten through districts and gotten to state. So let's start with talking about getting to state and what kind of moment that is for whether your team gets to state or you're an individual that gets to state, and you're being able to say that you get to go down and compete in Columbus. Can you put into words what that really means for these high school kids that have been able to either punch their individual ticket to state or the teams that have been able to do it as well?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I think of the state tournament, I think of obviously gratification from a team perspective and individual perspective. All the summer that you put towards working towards your game and getting better and playing competitions and tournaments to prepare you for the high school season, and then playing well in matches, playing well through your 18-hole high school tournaments, and then your conference championships, and then to be able to make it through sectionals and district qualifying is a grueling task. And I think, the achievement that the individuals and the teams from our Mahoning Valley have done just gives you that feeling of accomplishment. As you prepare for the state tournament, the stakes get higher. The deeper you go and the deeper run that you make as a team, the competition gets a lot greater. It's a lot tougher, and it's a lot harder to advance and finish in those top spots. So I think the practice that you put, forth all season long is a contribution of their success, from this standpoint. And then preparing for the elements that you're going to see, whether you're playing at North Star Country Club or you're playing the Scarlet or Gray course down at the Ohio State University. The weather certainly changes over the next couple weeks. So after districts and sectionals finish up, there's usually that 1 week that you have an opportunity to go out and practice, where I call it like a bye week, where there's no tournaments, no districts. And then the following week, the state tournaments start, and they run over a 2-week period, depending upon what division that you're in. You have the opportunity to play in some weather that's not unlike what you've played in all summer. So I think, as the weather gets cooler, the game plan becomes a little bit different. The ball doesn't necessarily fly as far. It doesn't roll as far because the ground starts to get a little bit softer. The ground's cooler. You're dealing with the dew. You're dealing with temperatures in the 50s and 60s if you're lucky. And, sometimes, at state tournaments, and we've seen them in the past, you catch that October snow, and you have some elements that you're not accustomed to playing in or haven't played in for the course of the year leading up to it in your practice and your preparation and your tournament play. So I think qualifying for state is phenomenal. Not too many teams get the opportunity. I think it's either 12 or 16 teams have that opportunity, and then individuals as well, 12 or 16 individuals, depending upon what division and what side of the conferences that you fall on. So to make out your state roster. So, I think it's a monumental achievement because not too many people get to go down there, but one that's certainly well for those who qualified and put the time and the effort in, and had a little luck along the way too as well. I mean, you need to have the ball bounce your way a couple times here and there to be able to get in. I mean, to come out of a playoff and win, out of sectionals or districts to make it there, it has to be pretty special, and you have to have some good things happening. But like the quote once said, the more that you practice, the luckier you get. So there's really a lot of truth to that. So I think for those individuals and those teams that have qualified and the ones that are qualifying, the rest of this week to punch their ticket to Columbus, certainly have achieved a lot.
Work hard to get lucky is a lot of great athletes to always say. Brian, if you're coaching an individual or a team heading into state, how do you try to keep these next couple weeks as normal as possible? Or do you kind of lean into the fact that it's state? It needs to be a little bit bigger. It needs to be a little bit more dialed in. What side of the fence are you? Do you want to keep it normal, or do you want to lean into the fact that it's big, it's state, it means a little bit more?
I think it all goes down to your routine. I would not change anything that has gotten you to this point. The way that you practice, the way that you prepare, I would keep it exactly the same. Now, you do have a lot of media obligations between local media, and obviously we're part of that as well, where we want to interview people, and obviously you don't want to jinx anybody as they go forward. But I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play that you have to really stay focused on what you're trying to do, and do interviews when you can. But ultimately, you're doing what got you there, and you're practicing, the fundamental things, on the day to day of trying to prepare to play down there. And I think, mentally, when you're going down there from a coaching perspective, like we talked about the weather. So you're going to hit, maybe an 8-iron, 150 yards all season long. And, when you go down there and the ball's not flying quite as far and the ground's softer, that may be a 7-iron. Knowing to adjust your club selection, I think, is going to be important. And then hitting a lot of shots, what I call, what's your ground game, where we want to keep the ball lower. We want it to run a little bit more because the ground's going to be softer and receptive. So those high shots that you see day in and day out of the PGA Tour when they're playing on firm and fast greens sort of goes away a little bit. And, had the opportunity to go down to Columbus a few weeks ago, and we practiced over at Scarlet when Preston was doing the drive, chip, and putt. Probably the best I've ever seen the conditions at the Scarlet and Gray course since I've been, going down there for many, many years, and had the opportunity to play down there many moons ago. The conditions and the quality of that golf course has improved so much over the last 15, 20 years, and it's absolutely spectacular down there. So, preparing yourself for greens that are 3-4 times the size of what the kids normally play up here. I think have to get the ball down and rolling, and you have to choose the right club going in. And I think the kids that do that have the distinct advantage of finishing in that top 10, top 5, first team, second team of the All-State team when they put those together at the end of the state championship.
Scotty, I know you've been keeping your eye on high school golf and local golfers as well. What do you have in store for Brian? I know you like to bring nuggets to these segments. What do you want to know from Brian? If Scotty might be frozen, so I'll just move on to my next one. Brian,
Okay.
We shouted out we got you, Scotty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian, I was just wondering, you've talked about all the competition between all these schools and the individuals that have gotten a chance, and how there's so much talent in the area. Do you think this is the most parity locally that you've seen, or do you think it's been trending this way, the last couple of years, and it's been really a turnaround that started a couple of years ago? And if the parity is at an all-time high, what are the reasons for that?
Well, I think like any industry or any sport, you have your ups and downs, and you're always riding that roller coaster. And, I've had the good fortune of being here. This is my 9th season. I'm going into 10, come March of next year. So a lot of the kids that, we've seen in high school right now are kids that came up through junior programs in and around the Metro Park. So I've gotten to see a lot of kids, starting off in our par 3 league to our junior camps and our PGA Junior League programs here at Mill Creek. So I've had a sort of a lens at, the local talent over the last probably decade, and to watch them grow up and get better. And, I think the depth across the board, I think, is more so now than it ever has been. I go back to my first year and I look at the team that Boardman had. Most of those kids are fifth-year seniors at Youngstown State right now. They all went on to play Division I golf, either at Kent State or Wake Forest or Youngstown State University. And I think you look at that group of talent that was here, locally. There was 1 or 2 teams that were really good my first year. Now there's a lot of teams that are really, really good in both the boys and the girls side. And one that I failed to mention was Sophia Rivera. she qualified out of sectionals as well. So she's going to districts as an individual. So I didn't want to slight her. I had her on my list of stuff here, and I forgot to mention her. But I mean, you look at Boardman, both boys and girls the last couple of years have been really, really good, and have sent either individuals or teams down there. You look at Canfield, both boys and girls have been extremely well. Cardinal Mooney, boys and girls have played well. Now they don't have a girls team this year because they don't have the depth that they once had. But the teams, the co-ed teams that have played throughout the course of the year have been very, very good. Ursuline boys and girls have been very, very good. JFK boys team has been extremely well. You just name it, top to bottom. Poland's had a great run up until probably this past year. They graduated a lot of seniors, so I mean they've been good top to bottom. And those were a lot of the kids in all of those teams that we've got to see as part of our junior camp, growing up as a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, and then watching them go through middle school and work their way up the ladder from their freshman year to their senior year now in high school. It's been fun to watch. But the golf industry in the past 40 to 50 years has had these flows where we're up and down and up and down. And really what we've seen collectively post-COVID has brought so many people to the game of golf that may have not even played in years past. So the strength and the interest in our game and the popularity of the game of golf has grown by leaps and bounds from 2019 on. So we're basically reaping the benefits of that, but it's still bringing tons more people to the game. And I tell this fact quite a bit, and I think the numbers are a lot higher. There's like 32 million people that play golf nationwide here in the continental United States. 15 million play what we call non-traditional golf. That's top golf. That's indoor golf. That's pop stroke, the stuff that Tiger Woods and Rory have down in Florida that's starting to gravitate. That's a place called X Golf. I mean, there's so many different places that you can come into the game non-traditionally as the green grass side. So if you have 17 million playing green grass golf in facilities like ours, and you have another 15 or 16 playing at these non-traditional venues, I think it's great for the game of golf, and the interest level, continues to build and snowball into people coming to the game. And I think you're going to see that for the next decade. Drive, chip, and putt has been a big proponent of that. We're getting kids younger than we've ever got. That starts at age 7. We have PGA Junior League that started in 2013. That's kids 6 to 13. So we're getting kids to the game of golf where flag football and youth soccer used to pick them up at 6, 7, 8. No one really wanted you on the golf course when I started playing until you were 14, 15 years old. So we've changed that dynamic and that demographic of bringing in people, getting them interested in the game at 5, 6, 7 years old, and having them the opportunity to come out and play 9 holes in our family fun nights on Fridays and Saturdays here at the golf course. So I think as we go and progress locally, I know for us, the Mahoning Valley is going to be strong because our junior camp's as strong as ever. Our par 3 league is the best it's ever been. Our PGA Junior League keeps growing the number of teams year in and year out. Facilities that had one team now have 2 and 3, and that's across the board. And we're seeing that here locally. Our camps and clinics are fuller than they ever been, with waiting lists and added camps and clinics throughout the course of the year. And I just think, with the indoor component that we have here, it's going to continue to grow that. The Bunker and Kensington and Oasis Golf, the local indoor places keep you acclimated with the game when the season changes pretty much after Thanksgiving. You have that form to play golf in December, January, February, and March before the weather changes. And I think that that's a huge component of having the opportunity to play and bring others in that may not have played. Hey, I'm going to bring a couple buddies to the indoor golf. We're going to go play Top Golf, or we're going to go to the Bunker. We're going to go to, you name it. Avalon Lakes has an indoor simulator with their membership program too. And I think those components are huge in the growth. And I think that's why you see this robust grouping of opportunities, whether it's individual or teams, being able to play very well in sectionals, district, and have the opportunity to qualify for state.
Brian, when we talk about where golf is now, especially in the high school level, you start to think these kids are 16 to 18. You do the math when they were young enough to get involved in golf. this right around the time when we started to learn a lot more about the dangers of the other sports and the concussions that you could get. Do you think that kind of drove more parents to push their kids towards golf a little bit and maybe away from soccer, which leads in all sports for concussions, and obviously football and some other sports that are out there that maybe now parents today's are making that decision a little bit more weighted on whether what sport they want to put their kid in?
No, I agree with you there. I think number one, it's almost an injury-free sport. You're not having that collateral damage when you're hitting somebody head to head, or you bump heads in soccer, or you're putting the pads on playing football. So I think that alone gives it a nice advantage compared to the other sports. And I think post COVID, I mean, what we found was outdoors is a nice safe place. You can at our location, you're dealing with nature in the metro park. So I think having the opportunity to be outdoors is huge. And I think long term, you can play golf with mom and dad and your grandparents until they're 100 years old, and sometimes farther in those cases. When you're playing football in high school, limited students have the opportunity to play collegiately, and then once you go to the college ranks, it's like 2 to 4% have the opportunity to play in the NFL. Not to say that players are going to go from high school golf to collegiate golf to the PGA Tour, but you have the opportunity to play this sport and the game that you like and enjoy as long as you want to play it. And I think that's hugely important. And again, injury free in a nice, safe place. And I think that has the best of both worlds. And to be able to play with your family and adults, and no matter what age level you are, you have the opportunity to come out and play. And I think that's important for this sport as we continue to grow and we continue to build the numbers across the board.
All right, Brian, you alluded earlier to the great stuff that are happening in Mill Creek Park. That's why you have been unable to join us the last 2 weeks, all the meetings that are going on and the great things that are happening in the future in Mill Creek Park. Before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to give us all a sneak peek of what kind of things you're building, an update report on the Mill Creek Metro Parks and the great things that are on the horizon for you guys.
Yeah, we're excited. Yesterday, we kicked off our fifth annual PGA Hope program. So it's a 6-week program that we give free golf instruction to veterans. We have a number of the golf professionals in the area that are helping us out, along with the Mahoning Valley Hospital Foundation and the Northern Ohio PGA Section Foundation. Been a partner since day one when we started this 5 years ago. Coming out of COVID, we started it the year of COVID and they had to shut it down for a year, and then have been rolling ever since. So giving veterans an opportunity to learn the game and giving them like we talked about earlier, a safe place to be able to relax and rejuvenate and kind of go from there is really from our mission at Mill Creek Metro Parks is giving people places of opportunity and recreational opportunities of regional and local and national significance. So to be able to host that, we were the second program in the state of Ohio of now 15 programs. So it's growing nationwide. I've been selected to sit on the national committee for PGA Hope. So we've gone to 4 or 5 meetings of those already. We have another one in November. So it's exciting to be part of that and part of being the growth of the game of golf and in giving folks of all walks of life the opportunity to play. So we're excited to have that. We had Mission Barbecue here yesterday. They always kick off the first week and donate. They donated 40 meals for the program, which was spectacular. And then beyond that, we're finishing up our indoor player development center. The major construction will be completed by the end of this week. I'm thinking probably from Wednesday, Thursday of next week, we'll start rolling out the transition to furnish it and move into our offices again, because we've been sort of bouncing around between locations here at the Metro Parks. That's why you see the green screen behind me and have been for the balance of the year, because I haven't been in my office as usual. So it'll be nice to be back in an office and have our staff back there. And then we're going to spend about a month to get the kinks out of our system inside and hopefully kick the indoor player development center off the Friday after Thanksgiving. So we do a big Black Friday sale on that Friday after Thanksgiving. So we're going to try to parlay that into some sort of open house if everything falls and the occupancy permit comes in and the things that you need to open the building to the public for the upstairs of the field house. So we're excited with that. In addition to that, we've got our rec center under construction down at the Wick Recreation area. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to move in there before the end of the year and kick off some programming indoors and outdoors. As we head into sled season, when we open the sled hill, we'll have a opportunity to sell some merchandise up there. We'll have a food and beverage component of that as well, a little banquet room, and it's going to be pretty unique when it's all set and done. Trying to grow the recreational opportunities here has been, one of the goals of the department of both golf and recreation, and I think our staff's done a wonderful job of being able to do that and expand year in and year out. And having these facilities will only help us grow from top to bottom. So I'm excited with that. And then we've got our Snowbird Scramble coming up in November on November 12th. So that's our last hurrah of the year before we get into sales season and starting to hit some of these golf and travel shows. We've been fortunate. The Mahoning Valley Visitors and Convention Bureau has given us some grant money to go out of state and bring in some folks in Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, and other parts of Ohio to do stay and play packages here. So we're happy to have a partnership with them in our, I want to say about our 6th or 7th year of attending these shows in the off season. And it's brought about 18,000 rounds and really is filling the hotels up for weekend getaways and what we call staycation. So if you come in from Columbus, book a 3 or 4 day weekend, you're filling the hotels, you're dining here locally, and you're playing golf on all of our golf courses in Mahoning County, not just the metro parks, because we represent everybody in the Mahoning County and really have a number of hotel partners across the board. So it's been great from that aspect. And as we continue into the fourth quarter, it's been a great year. We want to finish the year out strong and then start the year off with a bang with the opening of our indoor player development center. So, we're certainly excited on that right now.
We're excited. I've been told that it's an El Nino year, which means we might have a little bit of a elongated fall and a late snow arrival here in Northeast Ohio. So I'm hoping for that, because anytime we can wait until maybe early December or late November to see snow instead of early November like usual, that's good for Anthony. I don't know about you two, but anytime snow can hold off, that's good for me.
I'm happy with that as well. The older that I get, the less that I want to see snow. So, I'm right there with you. And traditionally, we're usually through about Thanksgiving. Maybe we catch another week, but I got a good feeling we may go into 2-3 weeks of December, which would be great. So, happy with that. And then we parlay the upstairs and in the opening. We've got the best of both worlds. We'll have the food and beverage open 12 months this year, as opposed to the 8 that we normally had or have had the last 8 or 9 years. So, we're certainly excited to continue golf and make it a 12-month footprint.
Brian, real quick before we let you go, because we haven't even asked you about football yet this year. We know you're a big high school football fan. Week 8, we're 3 weeks left of the regular season. Who are you watching this week on Friday night?
Well, I think you look at the teams that have done well. I think Ursuline's done well. I think Fitch has done well. South Range continues to play well. I think the focus is going to be on them just to see how far they can go and how deep they can take it, come the playoffs here in 4 weeks from now. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And, there's a lot of great football being played. There's a lot of good teams still left in there with great records. And it's my favorite time of year. I love the fall. I love when the leaves turn and you're out there playing golf. When you finish, you get to go to a YSU game. You get to watch some of the high school games, on the YSN Sports app. I really enjoy watching those, from my back porch, and have the opportunity to go when we can. But it's anytime that you're out of town and you can see your local team play as you're out of town is a pretty neat thing. And the stuff that you guys have done at YSN has been spectacular when it comes to every sport across the board.
Brian, we thank you all as always for the time. You elevate our golf coverage so much by this segment every week. We won't see you next week, but we'll bring you back in a couple weeks. We'll talk about state. We'll talk about all the great players that make it through, and we'll have some fun. We'll see you in a couple weeks, Brian.
You got it. Sounds great. Thanks, guys, for having me. Have a great weekend.
You too, Brian.
Brian Tolnar, what a great addition it has been to Running Point, and he adds, like I said, to our golf coverage immensely. He's definitely a big component to what we're able to do covering our golf athletes. We have a lot of good ones, Scotty. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to recap the last night really quick, and then we're going to see what's on Scotty's mind, which is Always fun, and sometimes a little bit dangerous. You never know what's on Scotty's mind. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Clint. Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
go Raiders,
Go Dogs!
Go Cats, go Dogs, go Tigers!
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Nestled here in the beauty and splendor of Mill Creek Metro Parks are two of America's best golf courses, as selected by Golf Week magazine. Ranked number 9 in Ohio by TripAdvisor. Come play like a pro on these award-winning Donald Ross-designed courses. Enjoy a round with your kids and unwind with your favorite food and drinks in the grill room. For championship golf, look no further than your backyard. Mill Creek Golf Course.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. And I want to tell you a little bit about Greenwood Chevrolet before we continue into the recap of last night. Did you know you can shop for a new car at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown? From the Malibu to the Silverado, there's a Chevy for everyone. Chevy Malibu, man, that's a nice little sports car. But if you're more of a truck person, Chevy Silverado, they have you covered. Stop into the showroom and visit Greenwood Chevrolet. They'll have you covered for new or used vehicles, but the new ones are our focus today. They are open until 6 o'clock every day, so make sure to get on down to the Greenwood Chevrolet showroom and see why they go the extra mile for you. Scotty, what's your favorite Chevrolet? You're a Camaro guy, aren't you?
I do love especially those like mid-'80s Camaros.
Yep. You're a Bumblebee, aren't you?
Yeah. And you know, I get emotional too about the Camaros, because if you remember in the movie Remember the Titans, when Gary Bertier gets in his car accident, he says, if you think I'm banged up, you should see my Camaro, and then he gets in another one. So it's always, and like, I love the Camaros, but I think about like Gary Bertier, and I'm like, man, why do you have to get hurt? But
why you have to do me like that, Disney? Come on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Camaros and movies, you remember that I brought up Bumblebee. Did you know in Transformers that first movie, the Camaro they used for that movie was like a very prototype, wasn't released yet Camaro, and it was like one of 3 made. So when they had it on set, they had to be extra careful with it. And they said the paint job was more than the actual car, because it was a custom paint job for Transformers. So that was a Like very, very I would be like, if I was the stunt driver of that Camaro, because they had a lot of, driving stunts in that movie with that thing. I would have been like, oh my gosh, if I mess this up once, I am blackballed from the whole Hollywood, organization. Because if you break a one of three cars or scratch that paint job that's like, $6 million paint job, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble.
Yeah, you're definitely on very thin ice working with a vehicle like that. That's man, talk about pressure.
And somehow they let Shia LaBeouf drive it once.
One time.
And Michael Bay was like, "Hey, if you go above 20, we're gonna stop you." And this isn't happening. I won't.
He's like,
we're talking about the new Camaro though, not the first half of the movie, that 1974, beater Camaro that's in it, but the new flashy one, obviously. But speaking of Chevy, once again, Greenwood Chevrolet is our presenting sponsor. You can see them on Wednesdays, real big above our head up there, and we thank them for their constant sponsorship of this show. Let's jump into another big aspect of our show, Scotty, which is, of course, the recaps of the night before, brought to you by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tub. Let's bring up the scoreboard here, and let's dive into Tuesday. A lot of volleyball to break down, and some conference championships were on the line. One of them is decided, Scotty. One of them we have to wait till Thursday. Let's go into it. Jackson Milton, they're, like I said yesterday, if you watch the show, they are starting to put 2 and 2 together a little bit. They're starting to really play as a unit. They had obviously a very tough first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, but you start to see this Blue Jays team. They gave a fight yesterday. 2 days ago. Yesterday they get a win. They're starting to put things together. Last week they got an upset over Springfield. Starting to play much better volleyball as the season progresses, which is always what you want as a head coach. You want to see your team get better. They get the win in straight sets. Wellsville and Southern. This was the thriller of the night. Wellsville, Scotty, needed this win to stay alive in the EOAC, but unfortunately for them, Southern gets the best of them in 5 sets. Set 4 went 30-28, and then Southern went on to win set 5 with the loss, and then we'll talk about it later, but the Columbiana win down there in Lisbon. That is the EOAC. It is under wraps. Columbiana is your EOAC champions. They still have to play at Wellsville on Thursday in a big rematch between the two schools. But even if Wellsville beats the Clippers, Columbiana will still be your outright EOAC champions. They are 2 games up with 1 game to go. Big night for Columbiana. We'll go to Ursuline. They got the win over Badger in straight sets. Like we always do, we'll do these first 3 columns, and then we will scroll over to the final one. Crestwood got the win over Grand Valley. 3-0 is the final there. Jefferson, still a very good volleyball team in Division II. They're going to have a lot to say in that district. They win 3-0 over Madison. Campbell Memorial, it was a milestone night for the Red Devils as Carla Ramirez-Ortiz locks in her 2,000th career assist. She is by far the best setter that has ever come through that program. She already had the program record with career assists, but she just adds on to them more now, 2,000 and counting. She also has the record, by the way, this year for assists in a game. She did that last week with 49 assists in a match. So Carla Ramirez-Ortiz continues to shine, and so do the Red Devils. They have more conference wins as a program this year than they ever had before, so it is a historic season for Campbell. They get the win in Brookfield. Austintown Fitch celebrates their 3 seniors with a 3-0 win over Canfield, and this gives Fitch the outright AAC championship. They were 2 games up coming into this one. Now they're 2 games up with 1 game to go. So Boardman needed them to lose this game to stay alive. Fitch did not. They win in straight sets over their rival Canfield, and they celebrate senior night the right way. One of the things I saw in this game that I really enjoyed was just the defense that Fitch had on serve receive. Now, I had been Fitch's bad luck charm, Scotty. I'd done 2 Fitch games up to this point on the road. Ty usually has their home games. I covered them last night, but every game that I'd done Austintown Fitch, they lost. And I was like, man, they're never going to let me back in that building if they lose to this one on senior night. But Fitch does get the win 3-0. So we officially confirm that I am not the Fitch jinx, and we can put that to bed. Springfield gets beat by Western Reserve 3-0, which sets up still a race for the MVAC title. Western Reserve and Middle Ridge are tied. They've already played each other twice, so there's no third option. It's just, hey, can one of you slip up, or are you gonna share it? So Western Reserve keeps up their end. They sweep Springfield. Scotty, listen to this about Crestview. They won last night, which clinched the MVAC. This is Crestview's 8th consecutive conference championship, Scotty. And because the MVAC has only been around for 4 years, that 8 championships consists of 4 different conferences. They've won the ITCL, they won the OVAC, the AAC, and now the MVAC for 4 years. So no matter what conference you put Crestview in the last 8 years, they've been winning it. So they get their 8th consecutive conference championship. They have never lost a game inside the MVAC, and they've only lost 1 set, and that was 2 years ago. They continue to roll. They beat champion in straight sets there. Ashtabula St. John gets another sweep to their belt. 3-0, they get the win over Cornerstone Christian. Warren JFK, they lose in 5 to Lake Center Christian. What a matchup that was. A thriller, and CJ Bako had the call for that. And it was definitely one that'll be on our highlight reel for sure. LeBray gets the sweep over Liberty, 3-0. Waterloo and Lowville do battle, and it's the Rockets, Scotty. The Rockets volleyball team having a good last couple of weeks. They win 3-0 against Waterloo. Newton Falls, they lose in 4 to Garrettsville Garfield. Lakeview gets the sweep over Poland. Salem falls to Boardman in straight sets. And then we have United beating Latonia in straight sets. We're going to scroll down and get boys soccer. All right, boys soccer. Let's get this. Let's see. Conneaut and Grand Valley with a really fun one. 1-0. Conneaut gets the win. Lordstown and Badger. Badger gets to win 8-0 there. Everything you expect out of a rivalry. Scotty, West Branch and Salem, a big game, and it's 4-3. West Branch edges out the Quakers in a fun soccer match to watch. Howland and Canfield, round 2. Canfield won the first one, and this one's a tie, which actually bodes well for the Cardinals. They don't lose to Howland this year. They have a tie against them and a win against them, and they draw in round 2, 1-1 between those two powerhouses in the AAC. Girard, they fall to Hubbard 6-0. Poland takes it to Niles 11-0, the final score there. We'll scroll over. We'll see South Range. They beat Lakeview 9-1. Boardman beats Austintown Fitch 4-0. And then United beats Beaver Local 4-3. Congratulations to United's Maddox Andrea, who beats the program record for goals in a career. So congratulations to him, a record-breaking performance in United's big victory over a very hot Beaver Local team. On girls soccer, Warren JFK are the Portage Trail Conference champions, the PTC. They win 6-0 over Lake Center Christian. So congratulations on your championship, JFK. And then last but not least, Edgewood loses to Grand Valley 3-1, the final score there. Let's scroll over though and get your last column of volleyball. Beaver Local sweeps Steubenville 3-0. How about Middle Ridge? They get a mighty scare in McDonald. Remember, Middle Ridge and Western Reserve tied at the top of the MVAC, both with 1 loss. Both those losses are to each other. So, obviously Western Reserve's rooting for Middle Ridge to slip up, and they almost did at McDonald, but they pulled it out in 5 sets, 3-2, a thriller in McDonald, but the Rams are still alive and well at the top of the MVAC. Girard sets up a championship matchup with Lakeview on Thursday with the 3-0 sweep over Hubbard. So on Thursday, Girard versus Lakeview. If Lakeview wins, they get the conference outright. If Girard wins, they'll share the conference with Lakeview. Going to be a fun one on Thursday. Struthers gets a win on senior night in straight sets over Niles. East Palestine sweeps Valley Christian 3-0. And then last but not least, Pymachining Valley. They beat Matthews in straight sets. So that is your recap of last night. Scotty, I'll pop you in real quick. Got any thoughts on the scores from last night?
Yeah, I'm happy that my Rockets put together another really good effort. They're having a really good season, and it's good to know, because I checked out some of those games you were on, Anthony, on Fitch, and it was good that they came through for you on that.
And I'm just happy I'm not a
night, so
jinx. That's all. That's all I'm happy about.
Yeah.
If I was ruining Fitch's mojo, I would have felt really bad.
And then also another school that I haven't brought up as much when we've been on the air together, but I always want to do well, is Camel Memorial. Being originally from Camel, and it's good to see them doing so well and having a milestone last night like they did.
They're having one of the best. Well, actually, they are having the best volleyball season they've ever had, and it's continuing. Not just with the players that are making milestones, but the team getting wins that they've never gotten before. So yeah, you're right. Camel is in a prosperous time right now, and it's one that is much needed. Remember, just 2 seasons ago, they won their first ever tournament game, and they've gone from that to now 2 years later. They've won more conference games than they've ever won before in their program, and they're rolling high. Scotty, what is on your mind today? We have about 15 minutes, 13 minutes ish.
Yeah,
11
little less
now.
than 15.
You have a little bit of time. What's on your mind today? What
little bit of time. I wanted to ask you about baseball in the postseason, but real quick first before we get into that, I've been talking quite a bit about Lowville, and I'm definitely gonna have my eye on it when it comes to football this week. By the way, I can't believe it's week 8 already, but definitely gonna keep an eye on that Lowville Jackson Milton game for sure. So real quick, Anthony, what do you think? What are you looking for in that game? What do you think some of the keys will be? And as far as other games on the slate this week, what are you watching out for?
When you talk about Jackson Milton Lowville, I think one of the things that really got Jackson Milton the win last week, and one of the things they've been good at this year, taking the ball away. They are a really good turnover defense. They thrive on that momentum. Their offense didn't have a great showing this week, but their defense was immaculate. And like I said, they took possessions away from the other team. And their ball control is really good when they are on offense. They like to hold the ball, long sustained drives. We saw them do that earlier this year against McDonald, where they didn't even give the Blue Devils a chance to get the ball back. It was just long, elongated drive, and then that was the end of the game. For Lowville, you thought you were done. Vinny Balone graduated, okay, we're done with these. But here comes Michael Balone. He's like, and he says, drilling it as a quarterback. He's looking really, really good. You got to slow him down. You got to do exactly what you had to do against Vinny Balone. You got to put pressure on him. And actually, as counterintuitive as it sounds, because usually you're taught to get quarterbacks off the spot, you got to keep Michael Balone in the pocket, because he makes the best plays when he scrambles and when he uses his legs and when he's throwing on the run. So you got to keep him in his spot, in the pocket, make him make decisions in the pocket, have good contained rushes, and put pressure on him. That's the only way you're going to slow him down. And we saw some teams, very rarely, but some teams be able to do that against Vinny Balone. And if you want to stop Lowville, you're going to have to do that against Michael Malone because it's almost not exactly copy and paste. There are some differences that I see on tape between the two, but the keys to stopping them are both the same. You got to get them uncomfortable. And one of the ways you get both of them uncomfortable is to keep them in the pocket instead of having them run out of the pocket and improvise. So Jackson Hilton's going to have to find a way to contain, still put a rush on, but not have those over aggressive pass rushes that give Michael Malone those lanes where he can escape the pocket and make really good plays on the run.
And it's something that's gonna be an awful lot of fun to watch this week, and I think I have been pretty impressed by Louisville this year. I thought they were gonna be good, but they've I got to
Last week
tell
was
you,
super impressive. I thought that was going to be a close game, and they ran away with it.
yeah, they've even exceeded my expectations a little because I'm optimistic going into every year. I knew they were more than, Vinny Ballone last year. But as you said, Michael Ballone just stepped in and, he's like, I was going to say something that's, for high school, it's a little, premature, but if he was like 25, he'd be like, hold my beer. But, we can't be talking about drinking in high school.
Gatorade, Scotty, Gatorade. Hold this Gatorade.
Yeah, hold this Gatorade. But anyway, before I get totally off
Off
the
the rails,
rails
Scotty. You got to bring
here,
it back. You got to find the
yeah,
runway.
I gotta bring it back on the runway. I wanted to know from you, Anthony. I know we're a day in, but what do you think? What are your thoughts on? Did you check out the baseball playoffs at all yesterday? And I just wanted to know also, do you think baseball? I've been reading a lot how it's been the viewership was up by a large margin this year, and I think that's really good for baseball. Do you think baseball is now safe as far as you don't think people consider it like a dying sport anymore, like something they maybe did a few years ago?
All right, baseball was never dying. It might have been like on a down tick, but like major sports that are established, it's not going to die, right? You're never going to see baseball die. But that aside, it is definitely getting a little bit of a push this year, and the reasons for that, I think there are many. I think there are many reasons. I don't think you can just pinpoint one thing and say because baseball did this, they're getting more views. I think one of the reasons is pretty simple. Teams that haven't been good in a while are good this year, and that brings you more fans. They want to see new teams. They want to see fresh teams. They want to see what the heck did Baltimore do this year. Like that interests people because Baltimore for the last 10 years has been like a cellar dweller. Last year they got kind of close. They were flirting with being a good team, and then all of a sudden this year it's like not only are they good, they're the best team. They're the 1 seed, right? I haven't been following two teams.
Yeah,
They're the 1 seed,
yeah,
right? So you're
they're
kind of
they're
sitting there
one.
thinking like, where in the world did Baltimore come from? That excites people. That's one of the things that like baseball has going for it right now is let's count them, there hasn't been a repeat World Series champion, and they've been completely different every year. We haven't seen like one team make 5 World Series in a row, and like you see new teams almost every year in the playoffs, and definitely new teams making it to the World Series. So I think that's getting like everyone feels like they have a chance, and of course, extending the playoffs makes more people watch down the stretch because their team's not out of it yet. So you had more markets being able to watch in September because they weren't giving up yet. I was giving up in June, Scotty, but most franchises weren't. So
Yeah, and it's
I think that brings in more people, and then obviously it's catered more to the young audience now because it's a little bit shorter, and they've fine-tuned some of the things that younger fans were annoyed with it for, and you get an uptick in viewership because of it.
And I guess one thing I know we only got a few minutes left, but one other thing I wanted to touch on today was when you look at these playoffs, we had the first day yesterday. Um, you still have your Dodgers who have
Dodgers
been
in
a
Houston.
mainstay in the playoffs. Houston, the Braves have put up some incredible numbers this year. They tied the single season home run record that the Twins set a few years back. Um, I just want to know from you as the last question here. Do you think baseball? Do you think of the professional sports, Anthony? It's the most unpredictable, and when I say that, I mean is it the most wide open when the postseason starts? Because I always feel like any team could win any baseball game, and I don't necessarily
Yeah,
always.
but Scotty, usually the best team wins the series.
Okay.
Right? I mean, like, right?
Yeah, usually, but I feel like in comparison to
I think
football and in like basketball, for example, I feel like there's definitely like there's more of a chance for a team to kind of come out of nowhere and win it. But maybe I'm off base there.
But like I said, there's been a new champion every year, so that kind of falls right into that category. But at the same time, you just it's counterintuitive, right? Because you think, well, the best team will win a best of four series, but that's not necessarily true because it could be not the best team, but the best team right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I hate to
that
be a homer, but
well,
when the Royals went to the World Series in 14, they were a wild card team. So they went from wild card, they swept the number one seed into the Angels, and they swept the Baltimore Orioles to get the World Series. No one saw that coming, and it just was because the Royals were the best team at that time. They weren't the best team in the baseball season. They limped into the playoffs, but they hit a stride, right? So all you have to do is hit a stride for 2 weeks, and you can win.
one final question. I know we're up against it, but one final thing. Going off of that, Anthony, do you feel like in any sport, because DJ, we had this conversation a few weeks back, and he told me the better team always wins, because I try to make an argument the better team doesn't always win. And he's like, well, yeah, but they were the better team on that
Yeah,
day.
it depends what perspective you're looking at better team, right? So if no, the better team always wins that night because that's how you win. You win by being the better team. But the better team on paper doesn't always win. Like the team that had the better season or the team that has the better players, they don't always win. But the team that's the best that night, always the winner, right? Because you got to play better to win. Very rarely do you see a team and go, man, they got outplayed in every facet of the game, but they still won. What the heck, that doesn't usually happen. Usually you either play even and win a close game or you play better and you win. So it just depends on how you're looking, what perspective you're looking at the term better team, because that can be skewed, right? You can say better team and think, oh, they're the better team on paper. They have more superstars. They have in football, for example, they have more 5-star recruits. They should win, like Michigan, Appalachian State. Michigan was the better team, but that day Appalachian State was the better team. So it's all what you're going to use, what
Relative.
form of better team you're using. It's a grammar thing.
Okay.
Right,
I
and I
just
think you can
thought
agree
that
with
was,
that too. You can agree with
yeah,
that scenario. Like, you pick any major upset that's ever happened. The
yeah,
team that was the favorite was the better team. They have the better players. They have the better season. But that night, they weren't the
like
better team on the floor or
Oklahoma.
on the court.
like Oklahoma, Boise State
Right.
comes to mind. Yeah.
You know?
But I know we're out of time. But as always, Anthony, thank you for letting me be a part of this weekly like you do.
Scotty, you're always welcome on Running Point. You bring a lot to it. I want to remind everybody that there are plenty of games on the network tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find it. Make sure to go and tune in to all of our broadcasters tonight. Scotty will be back next week. I'll be back tomorrow.